The political situation in Konoha has reached an all-time high, and I'm not usually the guy you would go to when talking about politics in a series like Boruto, because at the end of the day, like, who cares, right? But I have to admit, where TBV VORTEX exceeds specifically is using these political issues to greatly shift the flow of the story. This is not something you simply can avoid, because this has the potential to make Boruto's life even harder than it already is. And I talked about in the past, regarding Shikamaru and the threat of his job being taken and how that would affect characters like KASHIN Koji and or Boruto. But now the problem has escalated even further, and this time, I fear they may be running out of time until their plan of saving the future goes up in smoke. So let's get into business. As of chapter 26, Shikamaru was summoned back up to the Elder's room. It was there he was greeted to the feudal lord's assistant, Lord Kobu. Now, if you didn't know, the feudal lord is the most powerful man in the Land of Fire. All 5 great nations have their own feudal lord, and they outrank the Kage in most scenarios. Their political power is unmatched. So basically, if they feel a Kage is unfit to run their hidden village, they have all right to get them out of the office. So a direct assistant of that feudal lord is very powerful as well. So from very early in the series, the elders have made it clear to Shikamaru that the daimyo are very unhappy about the current situation. Daimyo just being another way of saying feudal lord, just in case that confused some people. But as I was saying, the daimyo are very unhappy about the current situation. The Hokage supposedly was killed by a rogue shinobi from their village, and he's still on the loose, roaming freely in and out of Konoha. It's simply not good for business. So the only logical choice is to capture Boruto, extract all the information they can get from him, and then eventually eliminate him. That was the original plan, I guess, but when they finally did capture him, he quote-unquote mysteriously escaped. So the capture went all wrong. Not only did they not find out what really happened to Naruto, but now they have to deal with another issue that threatens not only the village, but all of mankind. So they're definitely not in the best position, no matter how you put it. But capturing Boruto was and still is the main priority of Konoha, because they think even without Boruto's help, Konoha still has what it takes to take on the Shinju and eventually come out on top. And I don't know why they think that, but to each his own, right? And it's important to note this because this is where the disconnect lies. Because Shikamaru, as well as other Konoha officials such as Konohamaru, know that there's no chance that they can win this war against the Shinju without Boruto's help. Those who know more about the current situation, those who actually fought against them. That's why Shikamaru plotted on Boruto's escape from the interrogation room. It wasn't only because he knew of the truth of him and Kawaki switching places, it was also to give Konoha the best chances of survival. But little did Shikamaru know, this decision would come back to haunt him later on. So in the most recent conversation between Shikamaru and the elders, they first bring up the mission that Shikamaru planned to the Land of Wind. They used the word arbitrary when describing this mission, claiming that he dispatched Sarada and the rest to the Land of Wind for his own personal reasons other than the benefit of Konoha. And we see the reaction from Konohamaru, who is actually on this mission and almost died. By saying Shikamaru carried out this mission arbitrarily is disrespecting the magnitude of the Shinju situation. By saying this, IKEMOTO is trying to let us know that the elders don't know what they're talking about, and nothing they say should be taken seriously. Because we've seen how this mission benefited not only Konoha, but the overall future as well. They saved the Kazekage, his son, Sarada awoke in her MS, which I repeat in the words of Koji, is detrimental to the outcome of the future going forward. And you know what? They saved Moegi, who is a jonin of their own village. So like I said, to use the word arbitrarily is heavily offensive in this context. But anyway, after talking about the mission, Shikamaru reminds them of the situation they're in. Again, I guess that dementia is kicking in. But they're facing the Shinju, and the Shinju aren't going to negotiate with them. He got intel from a source that he will not name, and he just went off that intel. And before I say anything more on that, they can see with their own eyes that this quote-unquote whim of Shikamaru produced positive results. So there's no question that this mission was necessary or not, because it definitely was. That's why they pivoted their own argument, because now instead of being mostly concerned about the mission itself, they are now concerned about where they got this information from. And the funny part is, if Shikamaru says he got his intel from Boruto, it'll only make the situation 10 times worse. Because that not only gives away the fact that he's conspiring with Boruto, it also invalidates the mission and everything Shikamaru told them up to this point. Despite Boruto telling everyone that he has a source where he gets his information, meaning he's not the primary source of this information, the elders still believe he's aligning with the Shinju and giving Konoha fake intel to destroy them from within. So I don't think there's a scenario where Shikamaru wins here. It's a lose-lose situation. Even when Konohamaru steps in and tries to defend Boruto, it all goes wrong, as the elders instantly get defensive and call him out for taking Boruto's side. And this is what I mean, there's no scenario where the elders see eye to eye about this whole thing. And I guess it's not completely their fault, as they are captives of omnipotence, but they're still being very ignorant of what they've been seeing this whole time. Boruto has been doing nothing but aiding Konoha, even willing to give them information on the Shinju as well as Naruto and Hinata. But their old systematic way of thinking won't let them go against the rules and regulations they known all their life. So furthermore, the fact that they don't believe Boruto in nothing he says causes them to still believe he's a criminal that killed the 7th Hokage. And this will eventually be a hindrance to Kashin Koji's plans, because now Lord Kobu is reinstating the assassination of Boruto, and this time he knows that he got some type of aid. So now the citizens and shinobi of Konoha is getting involved in the matter as well. He says there's a mole in Konoha that's secretly collaborating with Boruto and Koji, known in Konoha as the criminals, and this is somehow connected to Boruto escaping the interrogation room. So they know there's someone assisting Boruto in the shadows. So now they're calling for everyone who had contact with Boruto to be interrogated for the information they have, starting with Konohamaru because he said that Boruto saved his life back in Sunagakure. So this is bad news for obvious reasons, because we know who the quote-unquote moles are. Well, technically the moles would be the ones communicating with Boruto, so that's like almost everybody. But more specifically, it'll be Mitsuki and Shikamaru, of course, because they were the main ones responsible for Boruto escaping in the first place. So Konoha is going to use interrogation methods to find out who is responsible. So it's very good that only 2 people know of the secret plan, and those 2 people are the ones that executed it, being Mitsuki and Shikamaru. Not even Konohamaru knows. So no matter how much they interrogate him or read his mind for information, he doesn't know anything about that. I mean, not even Sarada knows. And eventually she might even be brought in for questioning. And like I said, if they use any methods of reading her brain for information, she doesn't know anything significant that would help them uncover this mystery. That's the benefit of keeping your mouth shut. You gotta be secretive with your operations. It makes it that much harder to get caught and exposed. So obviously, I don't need to explain what would happen if Shikamaru and Mitsuki end up getting caught, right? This results in both of them being charged for treason against their country and eventually thrown in prison. And regarding Mitsuki, that's just another blow for Orochimaru, whose child is now basically a traitor along with Boruto. So this situation is really dire, because just like that, Koji's plans could go up in smoke. He even relates to Shikamaru that he needs him in the Hokage office. He would greatly benefit from it. And the upcoming battle against the Shinju would go better if he was the Hokage. So Shikamaru has a very crucial role in the survival of the planet, but he can't fulfill his duty like this. He needs a way for the heat to be taken off him. Although I do believe he is safe for the time being, now that Koji got Inogen to help them communicate, I also believe Shikamaru left some very evident tracks behind that could very well prosecute him later down the road. And this evidence could be in the form of Ino. Yes, even though it's not likely that she'll snitch, she still remains the one person that knows of Boruto and Shikamaru's alliance. And although she hasn't had any direct contact with Boruto, unlike any of the other people being accused, she still is very close to the Hokage. And if Shikamaru becomes a suspect, then so shall she. It's not rocket science. I mean, she's a part of the sensory unit, so it's not unusual to go to her to see if she knows something. She knows when Boruto enters and leaves Konoha. To keep it brief, the sensory unit should know most activity that goes on in Konoha. So she could be the key to finding out who Boruto made contact with while he was in Konoha. So Ino is going to be brought up in this whole situation sooner or later. It all depends how much information she's willing to reveal. Like I said, I personally do not see Ino snitching on Shikamaru, but by all means, she can even go as far as to report him herself. Don't put that out of the realm of possibility. Remember, her son almost got killed. Now it's more pressure on her because this situation almost lost her a son. For the safety of Inojin, she could see this as being necessary. So in that case, she could probably tell everyone that Shikamaru has been in contact with Boruto, and then it's simply over. And that could lead to Koji using extreme methods, such as threatening Ino to kill Inojin if she snitches. Because I mean, Inojin is with Boruto and Koji right now, so a little blackmail could be in their benefit. Obviously, he's not really gonna do anything to Inojin, it's just a bluff to keep Ino from stepping out of line. But I have to admit, she was kind of forced into it. It's obvious that she was never okay with helping Shikamaru. She even thought he was going crazy at one point. So Ino is still a looming threat to Shikamaru and Koji's plans, and it could come back to bite them if they're not careful. So back to Koji, this is obviously going to affect his plans directly because he's in direct alliance with Shikamaru. He tells him information on the future, and in return, Shikamaru listens to him and grants him power that he would have if he was the Hokage, like sending Sarada and everyone else to the Land of Wind. Obviously, he can't do that without Shikamaru, not if he wants to keep himself hidden. Like if Koji just upright and told them to go to the Land of Wind, of course they're not going to trust him. So Shikamaru being the Hokage, he can make them do whatever he wants basically. That's the power I'm talking about. And without Shikamaru, this goes away. Shikamaru is undoubtedly the most politically powerful person in Konoha. He has connections to everyone in Konoha. So in other words, so does Boruto and Kashin Koji. And for Koji's plans to go accordingly, he needs this connection to everyone. If Koji wants to relay a message to someone regarding the future, maybe to keep them safe or something, then obviously he would need Shikamaru to play the middleman role. And when Mamushi finally comes to Konoha, communication is going to be so very important, especially if they want to keep Ada from getting devoured. He'll need to talk to her and give her tips on how to keep herself safe. So we see the impact of Shikamaru being the Hokage. It isn't just for show. He's actively working to keep the planet safe and keeping more Shinju from being born. He helped Boruto too, multiple times, whether it's informing him on crucial information that he needs to know, or helping him get out of sticky situations, like informing him that Mitsuki was about to come and attack him, or when Kawaki and Delta was on his tail. Even if it doesn't completely avoid the encounter, it still gives him a heads up, and that's all he really needs. So yeah, Shikamaru is in great danger, and if exposed, it could lead to the death of so many more people, including the worst possible future, the planet's downfall. How exactly is he gonna get out this situation? I don't know. But whatever it is, Kashin Koji has to help him using 10 directions. He has to point him to the outcome that allows him to keep his job. Otherwise, there's little Shikamaru can do from being thrown in jail. I have to say, even though it's not action-packed or combat-heavy, this situation is very interesting, and I'm really excited to see how this whole thing gets resolved. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Is this it for Shikamaru, or is there still hope? How does this situation get resolved? What needs to happen? Should Boruto fake his death to take some of the heat off Shikamaru? Should he confront the village elders himself? Let me know what you guys think is the answer here. And I guess that's it for this one. So without further ado, if you enjoyed the video and don't mind seeing more like this in the near future, why not leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.